What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And look, man, I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these, but I'm back. And before I get started, man, I just want to tell you guys to click that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel and like and comment and do all that good stuff. And so, with that out of the way, I want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons. And for those of you who haven't known by now, the Atlanta Falcons did a very, very, very shocking thing. They drafted a quarterback at number 8. And for those of you that don't know, they drafted Michael Penix from Washington. And look, man, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I was looking at my phone and I was scrolling on Twitter and I was looking at the reporters and seeing who the Falcons were going to take, and when I saw that they took Michael Penix Jr. at number 8, I was speechless. I was speechless. My jaw dropped, and I uttered out a few, I would just say, some profanity-like words, so to speak, that I don't want to say on here. I was speechless. I was just in a daze as to what the Falcons just did. Because to be honest, I didn't expect them to take a quarterback at number 8. I didn't expect them to, because they signed Kirk Cousins to $180 million contract, $100 million guaranteed. Like they signed Kirk Cousins 6 weeks ago? Like it's just hard to compute the Falcons signing Kirk Cousins and then using the number 8 pick on a quarterback when they have other glaring needs, i.e. a pass rusher, a defensive lineman. Anybody who has watched the Atlanta Falcons for the better part of, 15 years or so, maybe even longer than that, everybody and their mama knows who watches this team play knows that the Falcons have been dying to have a legit edge rusher, probably 2 or 3 pass rushers, probably since the George Bush administration. It's been that long. And they had 2 potential guys on the board in Liatulu Tutu, I think that's his name. I can't pronounce his name. They got the defensive end from UCLA. And then you have Dallas Turner from Alabama. Like, the Falcons had a chance to take those 2 edge rushers. And they didn't do it because, they wanted to get another quarterback. And I get it. I get it. Kirk Cousins, 36 years old. You have a quarterback that you like. And look, I like Michael Penix. Like, I do. But it also has to be said with Michael Penix, like, he comes with durability concerns. Like, this is a guy that, dating back to 2018 to 2021, like, he's had 2 torn ACLs in the same knee. Like, he's dealt with that. And he's had 2 different discolated separated shoulder type of injuries. So he's had a total of 4 injuries dating back to 2018. Now, to his credit, if you look at what he's done in 2022 and 2023, like, he was healthy, throughout those years. And so that helps somewhat. But it's still noteworthy that this is a guy that's had some real durability issues in his college playing career. And look, I watched him, last season, and he was really impressive at times. Like his arm strength is noticeable. He can throw a great deep ball. He's accurate. He can make all the throws. Now, in the championship game against Michigan, he wasn't very good because Michigan was getting after him and he was under pressure a lot of the times. But, You look at his talent, and it's there, right? And so, really, the question with him, with Michael Penix, is basically, for the most part, is just is durability. Can he stay upright? And so, it's very risky to me. Taking it's a little risky taking this, going with this approach. Taking a guy with durability concerns. But look, I get it. He's a quarterback. He's young. He's talented, and we all know the Falcons. As much as I like Kirk Cousins and I like the signing at the time, you need a heir apparent at some point. But here's my issue, with this draft, with drafting Michael Penix. And my issue is, if you were gonna go this route with Michael Penix, then why did you sign Kirk Cousins to $100 million? Like, why? Like, that's the part that I'm getting a little lost. And look, I know the Falcons wanna win now, so to speak. They're tired of being in the playoff. They're tired of being out of the playoffs. They've missed the playoffs the last 7 years. I'm trying to gather my head. Like, I want to say, hold on, 6 years, not 7 years, 6 years. So, I mean, you just look at it and, like, it's just, I get that you want to make the playoffs, but at the same time, you got to be smart with it too, because the money that you used on Kirk Cousins, like, that could have been used if you knew that you were going to get Michael Penix and you know that this guy's your future. Like, you could have used that money that you used on Kirk Cousins. You could have used that on defensive players. Like, there are some defensive talent out there in free agency that the Falcons could have gotten. They could have gotten a couple of defensive linemen. They could have gotten a cornerback, and maybe you could have used, whatever limited money you had. Maybe you could have gotten a 1-year stopgap type of quarterback, like a, Sam Darnold or Jacoby Brissett or a Gardner Minshew or someone like that. Now, look, I know those guys aren't as good as Kirk Cousins, but you know what? Like, if you're drafting a quarterback, if your plan is to draft a quarterback at number 8, eventually that man is going to play. And if you look at a guy like Michael Penix, he's 24 years old. So this isn't like a project that needs to be sitting on the bench for 2 years. And look, I've seen the comparisons that people want to make with, this situation that the Falcons just pulled with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love when the Packers drafted Jordan Love. Well, the difference there is the Packers, number one, were coming off a 13-3 year. So they were really good in a Super Bowl contender. And Jordan Love's 21. So he's younger. And so he could sit. And so that was a good situation. Here, the Falcons are coming off 3 7-10 seasons. So you have a team that wasn't any good to begin with. And like I said before, the Falcons desperately have needed defensive line help for quite some time. And even along with the defensive line, they could use a secondary help too. And so you still have holes on your team. And look, I know there's more picks to come, and they can pick in rounds 2, 3, and 4, and maybe you can find dudes. But by all accounts, you look at this draft, like, supposedly this is not a strong draft in defensive linemen. And so there's no guarantee, not even close, that Atlanta's going to be able to find their pass rusher. And, look, they're going to add some defenders, I'm sure. I expect, probably a cornerback or someone like that. But even still, like, for a team that's trying to win, your defense is pretty suspect right now. You should have a good offense, even though I think Atlanta could use another speedster at wide receiver. But, nevertheless, like, if you're talking about Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier and, Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and you got Darnell Mooney. Like, not a bad crop of skill position players to start with. And so you have in a solid offensive line as well. So you have something going on offense, but defensively is where this team needs some talent, especially on the defensive line. And I just I don't have a real issue with Michael Penix the player. Like I said, I'm concerned with his durability. But but look, man, quarterbacks are quarterbacks, and we know how important quarterbacks are. So I don't have a real issue with him as a player. I just have a massive issue with how the Falcons process, and it's just the Falcons, man. Like, they just do things so just weird. I'll just say they're just a funky team, a funky organization. We can just go back to going after Deshaun Watson and trying to commit to Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ritter. And I've mentioned how this team doesn't just refuses to just go after pass rushers and draft them well. And it's been a long time since they've addressed that issue, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. And I feel like this decision it just goes along the lines of what the Falcons have always been doing for the last 6, 7, 8 years. It's just a bunch of funkiness when it comes to this franchise. But hey, they took Michael Penix. This is the decision they made. And what else is there to say? This is what they did. So, but hey, that's my thoughts. That's how I feel right now when it comes to the Falcons. You can, and look, it's what it is.